Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today's September 15th, and right now we're looking at the mid-level water vapor loop. You can kind of see the ridge up over the Pacific Northwest right now, upper level low off the coast of California. Look at this monster ridge out over here south of the Aleutian Islands. And we're going to have some pretty interesting ridge and trough interaction here as we go through the extended forecast. We'll take a look at that in some detail here coming up. I'll show you a spaghetti plot that shows the problem with looking too far out into a forecast as well. And yeah, we're going to be pretty warm across the region today. So let's just dive right into things here. Look at SeaTac yesterday, nice 77 degrees, 5 degrees above average, no precipitation. And again, hopefully we're kind of looking off in the next few days and maybe we can bring a little bit of precip down across the region again. We'll take a look at that in a moment. This is looking at nice affordable home weather station. If you want to save 10% off on it, click on the link down below. You can see it updating the wind in real time. Has a lightning detection system. The barometer is very accurate. The temperature does well. It's got a UV index, solar radiation, tells you how long it rained for and how much, of course. And this is the station here. You can see that it does have a nice smartphone app. It's all solar powered. It's all wireless. It's easy to set up, and it compares nicely against my much more expensive weather equipment like the Davis here. And you can see the temperature was pretty accurate. Solar radiation, pretty same. And the barometer has been doing quite nicely as well. And again, there it is. So anyway, if you want that, click on that link down below, 10% off. Highly recommended. This is looking at the next 5 days here for Spokane. You can see as we go on to the early portion of next week, we're going to start to get breezy and cool down again, but some pretty nice warm weather here today and tomorrow. And watch out even across some of Montana here. You're starting to get later on into fall, or at least later into September here, and some frost concerns out there as well. And you can see the pattern change coming next week also. We're going to have a trough dropping down across the region. We'll look at that in the weather models here in a moment. Even some higher elevation snow starting to show up here. We won't look at that today, but over the next few days, we'll start to dive in a little bit more. This is looking at dynamic tropopause, so the higher levels of the actual atmosphere. You can see that upper level off the coast of California here, and you can see this next trough start to move through British Columbia in here, and it's going to try to carve out across some of the Intermountain West. And then you can see another ridge built in here. Then we go far enough out in the extended, and you can see the next trough that we've been watching here as we go through the end of September here. But I'll show you in the spaghetti plot why it's not such a wise thing to do to be looking too far out into the forecast. You can see that trough spinning over us near the end of the run. Just something interesting to watch for now. Here we are looking at the GFS. This is 500 millibars, 18,000 feet, Alaska, British Columbia, Washington, Oregon. There goes our ridge, bringing us our nice weather through about tomorrow. We start our gradual cool down on Sunday, then we start to cool down noticeably next week, and you can see why as this trough settles down over some of the Intermountain West here. But then we build another ridge, and we may warm back up again here as we go through next week, and then another trough wants to drop down across the area here. But again, we're looking 200 plus hours out, even though this has kind of been a persistent signal in some of the recent forecast runs. And you can see that trough kind of hanging out there for a few days before it finally kicks off to the east. Looking at the European yesterday afternoon's run, let's see how that lines up. Again, good model agreement in the short term, pretty typical there. Short wave moves through here on Sunday, starts to cool us down, and then we start to get this troughing dropping down across some of the Intermountain West here. Ridge rebuilds. How much will we warm up there? Something to watch over the next few days. And then another trough dropping all the way down towards the California coastline through the extended. Now looking at the European, yesterday afternoon's total precipitation in inches, and we're going to go and let this scroll through. You can see that short wave kind of move through here as we go through Monday morning, and then that next system drops down. Not a big precipitation maker here for western portions. You can kind of see it set up a little bit here across the Intermountain West, and the next troughing drop down along the coastline here, and maybe bring some additional precip to Oregon, California. Maybe it'll spread up into Washington. That far out, it's got to be watched day by day. Look at Seattle. Look at this. 85 degrees today and tomorrow. Very nice days out there before that cool down, and then a little bit of a bounce back here as we go through next week. We'll be watching that closely, but get out there and enjoy these temperatures here. As you can see, this might be the last of the fairly hot days. Some Seattleites will call this hot. Western Washington, Western Oregon, Southwest BC, you might not see temperatures like this again for a while. Spokane Metro, you can see up into the upper 80s possible. Then the cool down coming, maybe a bounce back towards next weekend. We'll see how that develops. This is looking at Seattle. You can see the gradual drop in temperatures as we move through the end of September here, and a couple of warm days today and tomorrow before that general cool down and maybe a bounce back after that. This is looking at 6 hour 2 meter max temperatures here. So I stop it at 0Z, and that shows about the daily highs. So you can see impressive temperatures across western Washington. Might even get some 90-degree readings. Look at Olympia at 90. Willamette Valley, some 90s going on there. If you scroll ahead to tomorrow, again, very warm temperatures across the area here. And as we go through Sunday, check it out. You can start to see the cool down happening here. Then Monday, we start to cool down. There's Tuesday afternoon. You can see the pattern change that will be coming up here with some of these troughs trying to move down across the area. But then we're going to build that ridge. And you can see some of these temperatures bubbling back up again as we go through next week here as well. Something to watch through the extended kind of a fantasy windstorm look here at Seattle, Tacoma. And you can see a few blustery outcomes here, but for the most part, a lot of these don't have much wind in that at all. But it's interesting that there are a couple of strong frontal systems in there. Something we'll watch over the next few days. Now, looking at Spaghetti Plot, this is 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. And you can kind of see the ridge here that we're dealing with now and the troughing out here across the Gulf of Alaska. And this is what's known as a Spaghetti Plot. You're taking into account all 50 ensemble members, and watch what happens when we start to scroll out towards Tuesday. You can see the trough dropping down across the Intermountain West. Fairly decent agreement there with the ridge offshore, maybe bouncing the temperatures back up. But watch what a complete mess this comes by the time you go towards the end of next week. And that's why they call it a Spaghetti Plot. Looks like a bunch of noodles on a plate there, and you can see the forecast just totally fall apart. You can kind of see the shading in the gray there, which would be the control run. The conditions we best understand them to be, and all the different ensemble runs are kind of like there's not much agreement once you start to look far enough out into forecast. And this is generally, this is basically what happens with any forecast, really. If you look far enough out in there, it just gets very chaotic. As you can see, this is McCord kind of showing the blustery conditions possible down there near Tacoma as we go off into the extended forecast here. But again, there's no ensemble agreement to this at all. You're just looking at purely a fantasy forecast. You're trying to nitpick and cherry pick things out when you look out that far. 6 to 10 day temperature outlook. You can see the below average conditions here along the west coast, and 6 to 10 day. You can kind of see that upper level low dropping down across some of the Intermountain West here through September 24th. There's all the way through September 28th now, again with the signal for below average temperatures here, and kind of above average signal here as we go through the end of September here. But this will probably change depending on how that system trends towards the end of the month here. But anyway, yeah, regarding the fantasy forecast, again, it's just kind of an entertainment thing here. It's kind of interesting to look to see what potentially could happen at this time of year, but it's not something you should be making plans out of at that time frame here. But anyway, yeah, get out there and enjoy these warm days coming up here. We'll continue to monitor that next system swinging down, and then the one off through the extended forecast as always. We'll pick those out day by day. Working on the El Nino video, should have it out hopefully by tomorrow, and yeah, trying to wrap that up. So anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.